Finns i köket. Chapter 1, Part 4. Follow Debian News. As already mentioned, the Debian project evolves in a very distributed, very organic way. As a consequence, it may be difficult at times to stay in touch with what happens within the project without being overwhelmed with a never-ending flood of notifications. If you only want the most important news about Debian, you should probably subscribe to the Debian Announce mailing list. This is a very low traffic list, so around a dozen messages a year, and only gives most important announcements, such as the availability of a new stable release, the election of a new project leader, or the yearly Debian conference. More general and regular news about Debian are sent to the Debian News mailing list. The traffic on this list is quite reasonable to usually around a handful of messages a month, and it includes the semi-regular Debian project news, which is a compilation of various small bits of information about what happens in the project. Community. The publicity team. Debian's official communication channels are managed by volunteers of the Debian publicity team. They are delegates of the Debian project's leader and moderate news and announcement posted there. Many other volunteers contribute to the team, for example by writing content for Debian Project News, Debian's official blog, or the micro-blogging service micronews.debian.org, which supplies social networking sites with microblogging content. For more information about the evolution of Debian and what is happening at some point in time in various teams, there is also the Debian Devel Announce list. As its name implies, the announcements it carries will probably be more interesting to developers, but it also allows interested parties to keep an eye on what happens in more concrete terms than just when a stable version is released. While Debian Announce gives news about the user visible result, Debian Devel Announce gives news about how these results are produced. As a side note, DDA, or as it's sometimes referred to, is the only list that Debian developers must be subscribed to. Debian's official blog, bits.debian.org, is also a good source of information. It conveys most of the very interesting news that are published on the various mailing lists that we already covered and other important news contributed by community members. Since all Debian developers can contribute this news when they think they have something noteworthy to make public, Debian's blog gives a valuable insight while staying rather focused on the project as a whole. A more informal source of information can also be found on Planet Debian, which aggregates articles posted by Debian contributors on the respective blogs. While content do not deal exclusively with Debian development, they provide a view into what is happening in the community and what its members are up to. On planet.debian.org. The project is also well represented on social networks. Debian only has an official presence on identity.ca, microblogging platform powered by pump.io, but there are some accounts retransmitting the RSS feed from microboost.debian.org and many Debian contributors who are posting on non-official accounts. Chapter 1, Part 5. The role of distributions. A GNU Linux distribution has two main objectives: install a free operating system on a computer, either with or without an existing system or systems, and provide a range of software covering all of the user's needs. Chapter 1.5.1. The installer. Debian installer. The Debian installer, designed to be extremely modular in order to be as generic as possible, targets the first objective. It covers a broad range of installation situations and, in general, greatly facilitates the creation of a derivative installer corresponding to a particular case. This modularity, which also makes it very complex, may be daunting for the developers discovering these tools, but whether used in graphical or text mode, the user's experience is still similar. Great efforts have been made to reduce the number of questions asked at installation time, in particular thanks to the inclusion of automatic hardware detection software. It is interesting to note that distributions derived from Debian differ greatly in this aspect and provide a more limited installer, often confined to the i386 or AMD 64 architecture, but more user-friendly for the uninitiated. On the other hand, they usually refrain from straying too far from package contents in order to benefit as much as possible from the vast range of software offered without causing compatibility problems. 1.5.2 The software library. Quantitatively, Debian is undeniably the leader in this respect, with over 31,000 source packages. Qualitatively, Debian's policy and long testing period prior to releasing new stable versions justify its reputation for stability and consistency. As far as availability, everything is available online through many mirrors worldwide with updates pushed out every 6 hours. Most new, most new free software programs quickly find their way into the development version, which allows them to be installed. If this requires too many updates due to their dependence, the, the program can also be recompiled for the stable version of Debian. See Chapter 15, Creating a Debian Package, for more information on this topic. Chapter 1, Part 6, Life Cycle of a Release. The project will simultaneously have 3 to 6 different versions of its program, named Experimental, Unstable, Testing, Stable, Old Stable, and even Old Stable. Each one corresponds to a different phase in development. For a good understanding, let us take a look at a program's journey from its initial packaging to inclusion in a stable version of Debian. Vocabulary release. The term release in the Debian project indicates a particular version of a distribution. E.g., unstable release means the unstable version. It also indicates the public announcement of the launch of any new version. In parentheses, stable. 1.6.1 The experimental status. Let us first take a look at the particular case group of the experimental distribution. This is a group of Debian packages corresponding to the software currently in development, and is not necessarily completed, explaining its name. Not everything passes through this step. Some developers add packages here in order to get feedback from more experienced or braver users. Otherwise, this distribution frequently houses important modifications to base packages, whose integration into unstable with serious bugs would have critical repercussions. It is thus a completely isolated distribution. Its packages never migrate to another version, except by direct express intervention of the maintainer or the FTP masters. It is also not self-contained. Only a subset of the existing packages are the unstable status. Let's turn back to the case of a typical package. The maintainer creates an initial package with which they compile for the unstable version and place on the ftp master.debian.org server. This first event involves inspection and validation from the FTP masters. The software is then available in the unstable distribution, which is the cutting-edge distribution chosen by users who are more concerned with having up-to-date packages than worried about serious bugs. They discover the program and then test it. If they encounter bugs, they report them to the package managers. They report them to the package maintainer. The maintainer then regularly prepares corrected versions which they upload to the server. Every newly uploaded package is updated on all Debian mirrors around the world within 6 hours. The users then test the corrections and search for other problems resulting from the modifications. Several updates may then occur rapidly. During these times, auto-builder robots come into action. The maintainer uploads the package resources without any precompiled package. The auto builders take over and automatically compile versions for all supported architectures. Some compilations may fail. The maintainer will then receive bug reports indicating the problem, which is then to be corrected in the next version. When the bug is discovered by a specialist for the architecture in question, The bug report may come with a patch ready to use. Quick look. Debian developer prepares source package. Built by the maintainer, optional binary. Uploaded to the server, unstable server. Source package goes into the auto builders and binaries come back. Yeah, cool. Quick look. Builded the Debian package recompiler. Build is the abbreviation of build daemon. This program, thus, to produce binaries for the ARM64 architecture, the project has ARM64 machines available. The build program runs them continuously and creates binary packages for ARM64 from source packages sent by Debian developers. This software is used on all the computers serving as auto builders for Debian. By extension, the term build frequently is used to refer to these machines, which are generally reserved solely for this purpose. A bit later, the package will have matured. Compiled on all the architectures, it will not have undergone recent modifications. It is then a candidate for inclusion in the testing distribution. A group of unstable packages chosen according to some quantifiable criteria. Every day, a program automatically selects the package to include in testing according to elements guaranteeing a certain level of quality. 1. Successful compilation on all officially supported architectures. 2. Lack of critical bugs, or at least fewer than the version currently included in testing. 3. At least 5 days spent in unstable, which is usually sufficient time to find and report any serious problems. Successfully passing the package own test suite, if it has one, reduces that time. 4. Dependencies that can be satisfied in testing or that can at least be moved there together with the package in question. Automatic quality test of the package. Auto package test. If denied, don't show any regression. If defined, don't show any regression. This system is clearly not infallible. Critical bugs are regularly found in packages included in testing. Still, it is generally effective and testing poses far fewer problems than unstable, being for many a good compromise between stability and novelty. Note: limitations of testing. While very interesting in principle, testing does have some practical problems. The tangle of dependencies between packages is such that a package can rarely move there completely on its own. With packages all depending upon each other, it is sometimes necessary to migrate a large number of packages simultaneously, which is impossible when some are uploading updates regularly. On the other hand, the script identifying the families of related packages works hard to create them. This would be an NP-complete problem, for which fortunately we know some good heuristics. I don't know what that means. This is why we can manually interact with and guide this script by suggesting groups of packages or imposing the inclusion of certain packages in a group, even if this temporarily breaks some dependencies. This functionality is accessible to the release managers and their assistants. Recall that an NP-complete problem is of an exponential algorithmic complexity according to the size of the data, here being the length of the code, the number of figures, and the elements involved. The only way to resolve it is frequently to examine all possible configuration, which could require enormous means. A heuristic is an appropriate but satisfying solution. Approximate but satisfying solution. Community. The Release Manager. Release Manager is an important title associated with heavy responsibilities. The bearer of this title must in effect manage the release of new stable version of Debian and define the process for development of testing until it meets the quality criteria for stable. They also defined a tentative schedule, not always followed. We have stable release managers, often abbreviated SRM, who manage and select updates for the current stable version of Debian. They systematically include security patches and examine all other proposals for inclusion on a case-by-case basis sent by Debian developers eager to update their package on the stable version. 1.6.4 The promotion from testing to stable. Let us suppose that our package is now included in testing. As long as it has room for improvement, its maintainer must continue to improve it and restart the process from unstable, but its later inclusion in testing is generally faster. Unless it is changed significantly, all of its dependencies are already available. When it reaches perfection, the maintainer has completed their work. The next step is the inclusion in the stable distribution, which is, in reality, a simple copy of testing at the moment chosen by the release manager. Ideally, this decision is made when the installer is ready and when no program in testing has any known critical bugs. Since this moment never truly arrives, in practice, Debian must compromise, remove packages whose maintainer has failed to correct bugs on time, or agree to release a distribution with some bugs in the thousands of programs. The release manager will have previously announced a freeze period during which each update to testing must be approved. The goal here is to prevent any new versions and new bugs, and to only approve updates fixing bugs. Okay, here we have a chart. Debian developers provides uh, development package not ready for prime time to experimental, and uploads working packages to unstable, from unstable to testing, automatically migrating, and then to stable by the release manager. Vocabulary freeze the home straight. During the freeze period, development of testing distribution is blocked. No more automatic updates are allowed. Only the release manager are then authorized to change packages according to their own criteria. The purpose is to prevent the appearance of new bugs by introducing new versions. Only thoroughly examined updates are authorized when they correct significant bugs. After the release of a new stable version, the stable release managers manage all further development called revisions. For example, 10.1, 10.2, 10.3 for version 10. These updates systematically include all security patches. They will also include the most important corrections. The maintainer of a package must prove the gravity of the problem that they wish to correct in order to have their updates included. At the end of the journey, our hypothetical package is now included in the stable distribution. This journey, not without its difficulties, explains the significant delays separating the Debian stable releases. This contributes overall to its reputation for quality. Furthermore, the majority of users are satisfied using one of the three distributions simultaneously available. The system administrators concerned above all with the stability of their servers don't need the latest and greatest version of GNOME. They can choose Debian Stable, and they will be satisfied. And end users more interested in the latest versions of GNOME or KDE Plasma than in rock-solid stability will find Debian testing to be good compromise between a lack of serious problems and relatively up-to-date software. Finally, developers and more experienced users may blaze the trail, testing all the latest developments in Debian Unstable right out of the gate. And at the risk of suffering the headaches and bugs inherent in any new version of a program. To each their own. Debian. Culture. GNOME and KDE Plasma. Graphical desktop environments. GNOME, originally an acronym for GNU Network Object Model Environment, and Plasma by KDE, formerly known as K Desktop Environment, are the two most popular established graphical desktop environments in the free software world, and will be presented in greater detail in section 13.3 Graphical Desktops. A graphical environment is a set of programs grouped together to allow easy management of the most common operations through a graphical interface. They generally include a file manager, office suite, web browser, email program, multimedia accessories, etc. The most visible difference resides in the choice of the graphical library used. GNOME has chosen GTK Plus, free software license under the LGPL, and the KDE community has selected Qt, a company-backed project available nowadays under the GPL and a commercial license. Another graph. Upstream author releases of a new version, backing and updating. Goes to the author build, binaries comebacks, and put into the stable version. And when you install something, that comes from the ftp.debian.org website, which is use apt-get. I never got what's the difference, apt-get and apt. Why is he using apt-get? This is a new book. I don't know. The 1.6.5, the old stable and old stable status. Each stable release has an expected lifetime of about 5 years, and given that releases tend to happen every 2 years, there can be up to 3 supported releases at a given point in time. When a new stable release happens, the former release becomes old stable, and the one even before becomes old stable. This long-term support (LTS) of Debian releases is a recent initiative. Individual contributors and companies joined forces to create the Debian LTS team. Older releases which are no longer supported by the Debian security team fall under the responsibility of this new team. The Debian security team handles security support in the current stable release and also in the old stable release, but only for as long as it is needed. Yeah, but only for as long as it's needed to ensure 1 year of overlap with the current stable release. This amounts roughly to 3 years of support for each release. The Debian LTS teams handles the 2 years of security support so that each release benefits from at least 5 years of support, and so that users can upgrade from version N to N+2, for example, from the Debian 9 stretch to Debian 11 Bullseye. Community. Companies sponsoring the LTS efforts. The long-term support is a difficult commitment to make in Debian because volunteers tend to avoid the work that is not very fun, and providing security support for 5-year-old software is, for many contributors, a lot less fun than packaging new upstream versions or developing new features. To bring this project to life, the project counted on the fact that long-term support was particularly relevant for companies and that they would be willing to mutualize the cost of this security support. The project started in June 2014. Some organizations allowed their employees to contribute part-time to Debian LTS, while others preferred to sponsor the project with money, so that Debian contributors could get paid to do the work that they would not do for free. Most Debian contributors willing to be paid to go work on LTS got together to create a clear sponsorship offer managed by Freexian, Raphael Herzog's company. In the Debian LTS team, the volunteers work on packages they care about, while the paid contributors prioritize packages they used by their sponsors. The project is always looking for new sponsors. What about your company? Can you let an employee work part-time on long-term support? Can you allocate a small budget for security support? Visit this website.